We sipping a little. Gang in the stew with me. Poison here, Kiwi here, Clove here.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a gangster.
These lines going over your head, now nigga, that's cap. Nigga said you a Master P and I said that's facts. No limit to what I could do, I'm getting rap plaques and getting chips off these bars, bitch, I'm a rap snack. My day ends, get back in the bed and feel my mind racing. A hospital nobody trusts, I'm trying to find patience. I'm outside enjoying life, my niggas top billing. But soon as I open the app, I see a cop killing. My life progresses daily, all in all, I'm not alright. My youngins in the street, getting them out, takes a lot of fight. And they think discovering their gifts is out of sight. 19 with a 42, who wanna take some shots tonight? Can't be waking up asking where backwoods at. And fighting and fucking can't be the only things we good at. Everything ain't real to me, I only believe what I can feel and see. It costs to live, but niggas are kill for free. They be your own homies, that's a secret competition.
What's Wacky does? I'm Rick.
Opposition. The fake always get exposed, you can't stop the mission. Gotta stop talking
Today's
shit.
topic.
You ain't gotta pop the pissin'.
What's today's topic,
Charged up, you get starstruck.
The unrecognized childhood trauma that's never talked about or even in the parent's awareness, and how it basically affects everything in your life going forward.
It's getting deep out here. Shout out to Rich P for giving us that intro music. New music coming up. Shout out.
Y'all better go
that.
follow Rich P Sin on Instagram and get that hot music with real bars and real tunes.
Ooh, someone talking about bars.
I'm saying, Rich P is where it's at.
All right. So we're gonna get on this. I don't know. You want to set it off on this subject?
Well,
this is a really
in our discoveries of being parents and all that good stuff, and watching how some of the younger folks are coming up, you know, we kind of took a look at how the two-parent household or lack thereof, or having step-parents in the household versus the biological parents, how that dynamic affects children on an emotional level, on a relationship level, and even how they handle the opposite sex. A prime example is when you have multiple children and you might have, you know, one or two baby mothers, baby fathers, a second spouse, whatever, another family, etc. So we notice that in even the people we know and some people we know through other people and even the ones we don't know, when children see their parents loved up, loving each other, not in a dysfunctional setting, but seeing their parents love each other and having a good family bond, but then the child who may have one parent that's not in the household because either they were born first or later or whatever it may be, doesn't get to see that same dynamic with their biological parents. And that actually has an effect on children.
That's trauma. That's definitely some trauma. That's a lot of trauma, because when you don't, I think it gets to a point, and it's like really unrecognized trauma, because think about it. Like, say for instance, like, I'm going to use myself for example. I have a daughter that I had at 16. Mother was like 15. And we never lived together. We never lived together because we was both kids. And both our parents pretty much raised our daughter the first many years. So, because we didn't, neither one of us knew how to be a parent. And I know there's some trauma there with my daughter of like that, because I feel like she wanted more from me that I just wasn't able to give, you know, because I didn't know how, because I was so young. And even though she went on to graduate, you know, she wasn't a statistic or anything, but she went on to graduate from the University of Pittsburgh and everything, which probably is rare, because in today's society they'll try to make that person a statistic. But kudos to her, working on a second master's. Kudos to her. But there's some trauma because we go back and forth all the time over certain things that I think she feels is missing. And one day I was just sitting around thinking, I was like, man, you know, like I don't, because I'm like, I'm always here, but I'm I never was 100% there with her because I didn't have that type of relationship with her mother. So she never got to see me and her mother hug, kiss, be affectionate. But I'm quite sure she's seen that from her siblings' father when her mother was with that person. And that may make her resent me, may make her resent her mother, may give her issues that she don't know where they're coming from, because you asking for stuff that just wasn't in the works to happen for you. So, that's one thing. And I know this with some of my friends. They go through it too, because once, like, when the household gets broken, the household gets broken, there's a lot that we overlook with the kids, because they're like, whoa, that's like a really deep impact on a child when they, especially, and because it works both ways, from going from being a 2-family household to now it's my pops is gone, and I'm going from this house to that house to this house. Now everybody got a new significant other. My moms, my pops, everybody got a new significant other, so that child right there, that's also trauma. Besides the other thing I just elaborated on. So
it's a difficult thing, and most parents don't acknowledge that part of it. They think that so long as the other parent, that's not in the household is still active, that, that's all that matters. But children will grow up literally into adulthood and still wanting their parents to be together.
Yes.
Even in toxic situations, just because that's the dynamic that they know. That's their family. That's where they came from. And, you can have the other side of the coin where, like Rick, I have one son that I had at 17 whose father is completely inactive from day one in his life. He has no relationship. He's maybe seen him 3 times in 30 some odd years, but Rick raised him, and that's the only father he knows. However, my other 2 boys are very close to Rick, but that's natural. That's to be expected, that kind of thing. And they got to see both of their parents in the same household, both of their parents being together, both of their parents being together in a unit, whereas that one child, even though that's the only father he knows, he still knows there's something different. Yeah. Even if he doesn't know, there's something that's still off. And it becomes an unrecognized issue because you think, well, he's got a father who's active and doesn't treat him any different from his brothers and the whole thing, but there's still a void there. And I was one of those people who figured, he's doing all right. He's got a dad he could talk to. He's lived without me, the whole thing. And now that he's an adult, that's when he can come with the questions of what happened there. And it's not that anything happened. I was a kid. I was 17. There was nothing going to happen there just because I was a kid. And sure, there's a lot more to that story, but nevertheless, you see it now when you're older, and you see that void probably contributed to a lot of things he went through growing up that you either miss as a parent, or you think, oh, there's boys, they're teenagers, whatever. But when you look at the other 2 who have the solid relationship with their father and the closeness with their mother, it is a difference. It really is a difference. And those things need to be acknowledged because, one, the other 2 boys know exactly who they are and know exactly where they come from. They know everything. The one child knows one side. Yeah, he's still accepted by the other family as part of the family. There's no disconnect with the so-called step-parent, the family, the extended family, etc. But there's still a void there. Yeah.
And as being a step-parent, like, one thing I noticed, because I've been in that situation a few times, twice, probably like with stepchildren. I always felt like they love you, but they never really give you all of their love, and they really feel like they always looking. I feel like they're always looking for their other parent, like as a father, like their father, like even if the father comes around, it's like they're gonna show. The father could rarely come around, but when he comes around, it's like this extra. Like they're just happy because I think it's more so. I'm happy to see my father in the presence of my mother. Mm-hmm. Like just even the presence of your biological father in the I don't know if it gives them some type of hope or it makes them feel complete and whole. I really don't know, but it's something there, and I don't think we recognize that issue. Like you talk about mental health and all this other stuff, but I think this is something that's really overlooked. Because there's something there. There's something missing. It's a little resentment towards, like, the step-parent, you know, because I had it with Miles, like, with one of my sons. I, like, as he got older, it seemed like he had some kind of resentment toward me, and I never done nothing to him. And he had some type of resentment, but that's something that's bothering him. And then you try to put it on someone else, because those are like really... Those are legit issues. Like, if you never see your parent, because think about it. Just pause and think for a moment. Like, there's kids in this world. It's people that broke up right before the baby was born. Things might have been good up until then. It's people that broke up right before the baby was born. It's people that never was together. A kid was born out of a certain circumstance, and it was never going to be anything. So you never ever get to see your mother and your father
in a
cohabitate
in a family dynamic.
Yes, in a family dynamic, like, and you in the middle, mom, dad, me. You know, in your head when you go to bed at night or as you get older, you like, dang, and you see it in other families and stuff. That's going to be an issue. It may not be an issue while you're small. But when you start developing a mind of your own and everything, you have so many questions. You have a lot of questions. And honestly, a lot of those questions probably can't even really be answered the proper way for you, for that child. You know, because you don't know what your mother, like, hey, it's a lot of promiscuous people out here. You don't know what your mother was doing, that your father was Papa was a Rolling Stone, Mama was a Rolling Stone. You don't know. It's the luck of the dice with your parents, and you just have to follow, you know. So, and it's up to them to actually, if they want to give you those 100% truthful answers. And you got to also recognize when you get older, you got to be willing to take. When you start questioning that stuff, you got to be able to swallow the pill of the real truth if they give you the real truth, and you may not like it. So, you know,
that's the truth, because I had to tell my son when he asked. And it wasn't too long ago, you know, he wanted to know where his biological father was and whatever. I honestly didn't know. But, you know, we live in the age of social media, so I found him in 2 seconds. I sent him the link. I sent him a couple of the pictures that I took a screenshot of. I was like, that's him. There it is. I was like, if you feel comfortable reaching out, do so. But I'm the one who is going to give you the 100% truth. I was like, you have to be prepared that he will say nothing to you, and he might even block you, because that's the type of person he is. And not because it has anything to do with you. Truth be told, it probably is because of me, because I was very mean to him in our earlier days.
Oh, man.
And I was. And he had made it very clear when I had moved on. At that time, you know, I was also a kid, and when I moved on with Rick at the time, he was like, let him take care of him. And, you know, that's like the very basic end of that story, but, you know, I had to tell him straight up, you have to be prepared that you will not get what you want from him, end of story. I did the best I could with what I had. You have a father who's active in your life, who takes care of you. That's the father you know. But hey, this is what it is. I'm sorry it wasn't a functional relationship. I was a child, and I just so happened to get pregnant. And you are the beautiful result of that. And that doesn't mean you are any less than, but I won't know what those feelings are because my step-parent was very good to me. My step-parent was the same way, didn't treat me any different. And so for me, if I'm with someone who has other children, I get it. You had a life before us, and I can't see myself mistreating a child, period, but let alone, like I said, I come from a background where the step-parent also treated me well.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, me too. I'm the same way. So I only knew one way if I'm a step-parent is to embrace that kid as my own. That's what I do. Like, it's no unbalanced scale right there. But that's a whole nother thing. Like, kids got to understand, like, there was life before you. And you don't know the circumstance. Like I always say, kids don't know the circumstance they was born in. And the first line the kid is say, well, I didn't ask to be here. Okay, we know you didn't ask, but guess what? You're here. You're here, and you're going to have to deal with it. It's like, it's no going back in the vagina. It ain't happening, so that, y'all can really stop using that line. Like, like life is so bad. Like, you're supposed to use, like, honestly, all the things, I know for myself, but if any kids listening, all the things that pissed me off when I was young, I made sure to not let them things piss me off and be in a situation for those things to piss me off when I was young, when I'm older. Once at a certain time, you got to take responsibility and control of your own life and move forward and be like, if you didn't have a father, if you have a kid, be the best father. Don't follow suit like that. Change that. Be the best father. Be the best mother. If your mother was mean to you, be the best mother. Be better, because every kid should actually be better than their parent at everything, because you getting the guidance, from that parent, from experience, and you should exceed the expectations of yourself. Really, you really should. And, don't be so hard on a parent, because especially if you have no kids, you really can't. You really can't say nothing, because you haven't even experienced what
you haven't experienced none of it. You don't know what it's like to deal with a kid. You just can't be in the conversation. You just don't know.
You haven't made the mistakes with a kid. You haven't tried. You haven't made the sacrifice with the kid. You haven't done nothing. You don't have to take them to school. You don't have to go to school. You don't have to go to PTA meetings. You don't have to go to graduations. You don't have to buy nothing for the kid. You don't have, and I can go on and on and on and on and on.
Sick.
And you don't have to all the way through adulthood. It don't stop.
Sure.
So you, the non-kid person, should definitely be exceeding your parents. And you definitely should not be throwing darts at how somebody parents you. Like, you definitely don't have that right.
That, and then let's take it even another step further when you have the so-called kid who's doing well in life and still wants to come back and be like, oh, you didn't do, and you didn't do this, and you didn't give me that, and you didn't.
Because of you, I'm like this.
And it's like, wait a minute, you're actually excelling in life, but somehow the parent, and don't get me wrong, there's all kinds of dysfunctional shit that goes on in parenthood and, the parent-child relationship. We get all that. And I'm not talking about, there are people who raise children who did not give birth to them, but you raised them from little on up. And we're not talking about you neither. We're talking about people who want to give their 3 cents worth, not raise kids, don't have any, barely have a sibling, but want to give their 2 cents about everything. But like Rick said, you don't know what your parents have been through.
The circumstance.
Now, the things you do know about your parents that they dealt with and what they went through does not compare to the things that you do not know about and will never know about.
Exactly.
So when you try to point your finger at your parent and be like, you did this, and parents who maybe struggled with addiction, struggled with juggling multiple families, whatever, you don't know
Jack
about what your family went through before you. You don't know what they went through while you were here. and had to maintain a happy face and put food on the table and pay the bills and pay the rent while they were dealing with their own traumas and everything else. So while you out there pointing your fingers, oh, you didn't do and you didn't give me and you were this and you were that, you don't know what they went through. You don't know what led to the addiction. You don't know what kind of pain led them to a bottle, a crack pipe. Does that make it right? No. But I know people in my age group who are not forgiving of their parents' drug addictions, but then when they found out the trauma that they suffered that led to the addiction, it's like, oh, I didn't know. Yeah. Mofo, you didn't know. That's just it. Y'all always be so ready to judge and condemn a parent who took care of you, kept a roof over your head, put food in your belly, sacrificed their own wants so that you could have nice sneakers and nice clothes and whatever else. You think your parent was just on drugs ignoring you. No, your parent was likely stressed the F out and trying to numb some unbearable pain that they don't want you to ever experience. No, that doesn't make it right. Should they be numbing their pain via drugs and alcohol? No. But there comes a time, like you say, when you have to, take it on the chin and be like, you know what, I'm an adult now. Shit happens in life. I made it this far. I'm grateful for the life I was given. I'm grateful for what I have. And if you had two parents in the house, whether one was a step parent or not, you are way more fortunate than so many people in this world who have no one, who have the one single drug-addled parent who was also neglectful and abusive. And none of those things are right, but it's time to start looking at what creates these monsters and what creates these situations, just like it's time for the
was
parents.
Was it wrong? Like, because things that's wrong yesterday could be right today. Like, did it mold you? Like, a lot of stuff molded me.
Absolutely.
A lot of things that people felt, like when I was coming up, things I felt was wrong, it molded me. It made me stronger. It made me learn how to deal with adversity. It made me go harder.
I had what you said. I had the mother who was not very active in my life, which consequently made me be a different kind of mother. I had a mother who didn't tell me about relationships, men, shit that a young lady should know. I didn't have that from my mother. I got it from my grandmother, but that's still my grandmother and not my mother. I don't have no firsts with my mother. None. I have no firsts with my mother. No first bra, none of that stuff. I have no firsts with my mom. Now that I'm older, I also know my mother was dealing with a whole lot of stuff that I'm not privy to, but I'm able to piece together because I'm an adult now. And yes, I had to forgive her. I had to forgive her and understand that she could only give what she was capable of giving because of all of the other stuff that she was dealing with and trying to take care of a child.
Yeah, man. Like, I'll tell you straight up, I was out there when I had my kids first. Like, man, I was so young, and then it probably took me about 10 years to really realize that I have to change some things because I actually have kids. But with that being said, I was very inexperienced as a father, but I knew I had to take care of my kids, which I did. I provide. I was there, here. My numbers never changed. They always knew where I was at. Nobody could never say they never knew where I was at. You're just a phone call away, or whatever. And I always seen them. I'd go there, pick them up, whatever it was, with the ones that I wasn't actually in the house with. But, you have to understand that, because like I said, you don't know the system. You don't know who your pops was. Like what I was doing. I'm not gonna tell you like, yo, I'm outside, I'm running wild. I was running wild as a youth, like I was outside for real. Like I was running wild. And would I change some things? Absolutely not. Whatever I was doing was meant to be done. Like I'm not that person with the regrets and how it went down. It went down the way it was supposed to go down. That's all I could tell you. And if somebody has that question for me, that's what I'm going to tell them. Be like, it went down, those are the cards I was dealt. I'm just playing the hand, and figuring it out. That's one thing. Kids tend to think parents, no. When you was a kid, parents are figuring it out. They don't even know what they're doing for themselves. So now they got to try to figure it out for themselves And
let
you.
alone being a child, taking care of a child while they're trying to figure. You're growing up together.
Exactly.
You're growing up together.
How about that? That's some trauma. That's some
is.
trauma right there for your parent. Like, you think your parents don't have that, but we don't want to harp on that and keep talking about that situation.
Nonetheless, talk to your kids, especially if there's a divorce, a separation, or whatever is going on.
Yeah.
Talk to your kids about their feelings, what they feel like they might miss. Talk to them about any voids. Talk to them about their feelings, not yours, theirs. Let them know that their feelings are being acknowledged. They matter. They count. That helps foster an environment of transparency. And believe it or not, your kids will feel a whole lot more comfortable coming to you with anything when you take into consideration that they have feelings too. They see what's going on. That's the other thing. They see the shit. They see that, dang, my brothers, their father's always here loving up on mom and this and that, and mom is always loving up on him. Meanwhile, my mother hates my father.
Yeah.
She hates him. Like, what was so bad about him that I came from him also, but my mother hates him, or my father hates him.
Might be thinking like, damn, do she hate me?
You know?
They could be thinking that.
And things like that happen. There are mothers and parents who look at a child differently because they look like the father. Those are things we need to really look at, fix up, correct, make better, and all that. So, take that into consideration, because your kids be seeing what's going on. Even when you think they don't see, they do. And rather than have them making up their own story in their mind about what they think is going on, hey, come correct and share the truth. Talk to them.
Yeah, so we're going to get on
the wacky news.
What you got?
Well, we got DL and Monique acting the fool on social media for no ass reason, when they should be handling this all behind scenes, talking about, I was the headliner. No, I'm the headliner. It's my tour. It's my show. First of all, I don't personally think Monique is that funny as it is, but she just keeps doing shit to me, in my opinion, that she makes it look like she doesn't have any more comic standing. She's always on stage beefing and talking about her beefs. She don't do no stand. Where's her routine? Where's your comedy? Where's your new, your new shit? Where's your new stuff? You always beefing. And you only just made it look like you just difficult to work with. I wouldn't want to work with your ass either.
My wacky news, I'm not harping on that because I'm tired of entertainers. My wacky news is the Texas shooting, how it went down, and the mother, she's wacky for pretty much saying she didn't see this side of her son. But I don't even think of course you didn't see it, because that's another thing. He was with his grandmother that he shot in the face. So, and she may never speak again. Got that latest news. But I want to give a hero shout out to the guy, the Border Patrol guy who's off duty and busted in the school while the other officers that was standing around for an hour did nothing. He busted in there, got his wife, got his daughter, went back in and assisted in taking down the perpetrator of this horrific crime. So, shout out to him.
And God bless those families who suffered losses. And God bless those children. May they journey well.
Hold on, we gotta get some shots fired. Shots fired
to the Oofdale Police Department for doing absolutely nothing but ineptitude and incompetence and cowardice, and then turned off the comments on their social media pages because people were calling them out on their cowardice and their nonsense and lack of doing nothing.
Yeah, they suck.
They suck.
And more wacky news. What's next?
The VA Tech football player was found not guilty in the death of his Tinder date who was posing as a woman but turned out to be a transgender. That's huge. A lot of people are upset about that because they feel like it's setting a precedent to be able to get away with killing, transgenders and people from the LGBTQIA community. But no one ever takes into account how the folks from said community are not being transparent, are not telling people, hey, I wasn't born a woman. I'm taking hormones and have breast implants, and I did electrolysis to remove my facial hair. So yes, I do look like a woman.
Yeah, that's crazy.
No,
that's crazy.
it's not okay either, because you're lying and you're
Yeah.
taking away that person's consent. That's not okay.
Yeah,
it's not okay to kill people. That's not what What's Wacky to Us is about.
Yeah,
However,
but
it's
you
not
messed
okay.
up that boy's mental.
That's right.
For the rest of his life.
That's right.
He's a victim. Honestly, he's a victim. Just like
any other sexual assault,
is a
this
victim.
victim
That's like
who
rape.
comes under
That's
the
really like
guise
rape.
of something else.
That's really like
That's
rape in
not
a sense.
okay. And you're like, oh, he should have known it wasn't. No, he shouldn't have known nothing. You should have told the truth.
So that's the wacky. More wacky. Other wacky news too is that it's conspiracy news that the Buffalo shooting was really based around the retired police officer and security guard, because he had a car. He was working on creating an engine that runs on water.
He showed the video and everything.
This is similar to another guy
who did
the same thing. Contacted government. Government told him, yeah, we're going to look into it. We're probably going to use that. Then he goes out and he gets poisoned, So, I don't know.
I'm saying, I'm a huge participant in the community of conspiracy theorists. So, yes, it was one target and 10 victims. One target to make it look like a mass shooting. And everybody who comes in to undermine the so-called, fossil fuel industry usually turns up dead.
Yeah, so...
Just saying
that they was, to be like everybody else was really collateral damage, but hey, I don't know. But that's what's out there. I'm just relaying what I seen on, in a little research. I actually did a little research on it, and I was like, wow, this guy was actually on the news and everything promoting this. But I don't know.
We just saying.
More wacky news is what's not going to go on, and I hope this don't start trending, is these guys, they got the tight shorts and shit. Someone showed me today some hoochie daddy shorts where the shorts are like extra tight.
No, stank you.
Like, what is that all about? Like, with
no,
the talking about guys want to show off their thighs.
No.
So now guys are like want to just take off their clothes just like women, like show off your thighs. Like, I don't know what's with this whole feminine male movement. Like, we used to call it growing up metrosexual. We would laugh and be like, but now metrosexual is what it is. Guys, people take. I never seen, hold on, I gotta rant a little bit. I never seen so many guys into their hair. Like, they want this hair. They getting their hair pressed. They actually have to go to a hairdresser to get a guy going to a hairdresser, not the barber. Well, actually, the barber has actually flipped over, and it's these guys' hairdressers now. Exactly. All of this long hair is like, I'm trying to understand, what is that all about? So you got getting your hair done, you wearing short shorts, and what else? It's so much.
Last year it was rompers. And
rompers. Like, what is this movement going on?
No, it is what it is. You're making the women masculine and the men feminine.
What is going on?
Say what you want, because all the other people the Generation Zers and millennials will be like, we're out of touch and bugging. No, we ain't, because you're going to see later on when y'all are all alone and lonely and don't have no kids, and you're going to be wondering what the flock happened.
Because everybody's like in different lanes. Like, nobody want to stay in their lane. Everybody's like jumping and out of pocket. They, you got the girls they in the guys' lane. The guys is in the girls' lane. Like, what is this? Like, everybody could just cohabitate each other's lanes. Like, I don't think that's cool. Like, you definitely need lanes in this world to, like, stay in your lane. Like, yo, can a guy be a guy? Can a girl be a girl? And then if a woman acts like a girl or actually a woman to a guy, it's like, oh, you're submissive. So then they start putting that stuff out there. Oh, you girl, you old school, you submissive, this, that, and the third. But that's not really.
What did the homegirl say? That she gets called a pick-me because she lets her man run the household. And she was technically a millennial. And she's like, her friends and everybody be like basically dissing her because her relationship works.
Come on, you gotta do better than this. Like, we gotta really, really start doing better. I know nothing stays the same, but if you really think this is healthy relationship stuff that's going on right now, you're going to see how it's in the future. Mark my word, whatever today is, the 31st, 2022, and maybe 10 years from now, you're going to go back to this podcast because it'll be somewhere out there, and you're going to be like, he's told us this. This stuff is going to come back to bite you in the ass in a major way. And that's all enough wacky news we have today. That's all the time we got right now.
Holla at us on what's wacky to us at gmail.com if you have any questions that we will try to address in the next show. Follow us on what's wacky to us at Facebook and on YouTube.
And
of course, you know. Peace out.